in the sand. I never been a...
The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we think if we criminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Hey, welcome. Good day, Tokens and Tokats. We've got a great show for you today. It is Monday, March 25th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. It's like old home reunion day because sitting right next to me, our good friend Wiz Khalico is back.
Hey, aloha.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Doing really good. We're glad to talk to you. And at half past, we'll get into all your tours. You are like the man of the road now.
It has been a wild couple weeks. Yeah, what started out to be a weekend excursion turned into a 2-week-long epic journey with my buddies from the Green. So we'll definitely be talking about that later.
Yeah,
on.
Lots of road tales to tell. We've also got Brian the Red hanging out with us here in the studio. So
hey.
All right, glad to have you here, and we'll stick around for hour 2 Toker Talk Radio as well. But first, we have to get to all the news and information that you need here in the cannabis community, and we've got a good one today. In Behind the Headlines, we're going to take a look at hemp bills all across the country, from sea to shining sea, from Vermont to Hawaii. There are hemp bills going on, and we're going to give you all the updates on those. Also, for our daily Toker Tunes today, we're going to take a break from Roots Monday. It's going to be a special Wiz Khalico Irie Wednesday with one of your pals, Jay Boog, right?
Yeah, Jay Boog was actually just in town here, played a sold-out show opening for Revolution at the Crystal Ballroom, and I was lucky enough to be along for the ride, had an all-access pass, was able to watch it from backstage. I had a great time, and today we're going to play a song from him called Smoking Bomb Bud. It's featuring Fiji, and you know that's what we do here at 420 Radio. We are constantly smoking the high-grade bomb bud, and today we have a little bit of cherry pie I brought into the studio, so we'll definitely be burning on that and listening to a little Jay Boog smoking bomb bud.
Yeah, smoking bomb bud, absolutely. Also on today's show, when we get to the Radical Rant at 45 past, I have got a word for the Senate Democrats, specifically the Senate Democrats in the 4 western states that have voted on marijuana legalization in the past 2 elections. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Before we get to all that, though, we have got our marijuana headlines in our 420 radio news, and in the headlines today, we've got information coming from Rand Paul, the senator. That's part of the rant as well, but Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, is calling for marijuana decriminalization. We've got Maryland House working on medical marijuana. A technical college has been rebuked by a federal judge on their policy of drug testing all students. A pro-marijuana super PAC has been launched on Capitol Hill, and Washington, D.C.'s first medical marijuana dispensary should open up next month. All that and more coming up on The Russ Belville Show.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
It's simply business. It's simply business. simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Monday, March 25th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Senator Rand Paul says marijuana use is not something to promote, but it's a big mistake to jail people over it. This from Huffington Post. In an interview with Fox News Sunday's Chris Wallace, Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, was asked why he advocates for more lenient marijuana laws. He said, quote, "I don't want to promote that, but I also don't want to put people in jail who made a mistake," Paul explained. "There are a lot of young people who do this, and then later on in their 20s they grow up and get married and they quit doing things like this. I don't want to put them in jail and ruin their lives," end quote. That led Senator Paul to mention some bigger figures who have been linked to marijuana in the past, Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush. He said, quote, "Look, the last two presidents could conceivably have been put in jail for their drug use, and I really think, look what would have happened. It would have ruined their lives," Paul added. "They got lucky, but a lot of poor kids, particularly in the inner city, don't get lucky. They don't have good attorneys, and they go to jail for these things, and I think it's a big mistake," end quote. Back in November, Senator Paul outlined similar views, explaining how he is personally against marijuana use, but sees states as the right place for decisions to be made, saying, quote, "States should be allowed to make a lot of these decisions," Senator Paul said. "I want things to be decided more at a local basis with more compassion. I think it would make us as Republicans different," end quote. Maryland House passes medical marijuana bill from CBS Baltimore. A measure to allow medical marijuana in Maryland moved forward in the House of Delegates Monday. The House passed the bill 108 to 28. It now heads to the Senate. The legislation would create a commission to oversee a medical marijuana program at academic medical research centers that decide to participate. The commission would function within the Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. It's estimated that patients could not participate in a medical marijuana program before July 2015. The commission overseeing the program could license no more than 5 medical marijuana growers for each approved program. Under the current law, if a court finds that a defendant used marijuana out of medical necessity, the maximum punishment is a $100 fine. Critics say the current law still forces people whose pain could be alleviated by marijuana to buy it illegally from drug dealers. Lynn State Technical College federal judge orders school to stop drug testing students. This from Riverfront Times. Do colleges have a right to mandate all students pass drug tests? The American Civil Liberties Union of Eastern Missouri has argued that it's an unconstitutional practice, and it seems a federal judge agrees in the case of one local college. The ACLU filed a lawsuit in 2011 against Lynn State Technical College after the school mandated that all incoming students submit to a new mandatory drug testing policy. And on Friday, a judge issued an official order, on view below, blocking the college's controversial requirement. The latest development in this legal battle is a decision from U.S. District Judge Nanette Loffrey dictating that most of those students cannot have the results of the 2011 drug tests reported to the school. The decision makes an exception for students enrolled in the aviation maintenance, heavy equipment operations, and industrial electricity programs. But those who are part of the roughly 30 other programs cannot be drug tested at this time. Pro-marijuana super PAC launched. This from The Hill. 2 California men have launched a pro-marijuana super PAC to fight for legalizing the drug. The LegalizingMarijuanaSuperPAC.com is the first of its kind in the country. Brothers Mark and Dennis Rogers submitted their super PAC application to the Federal Election Commission on March 11th. According to Mark Rogers, the organization's president, the super PAC was founded to deal with legal troubles concerning probationary issues with medical and recreational marijuana use. The two own the Canna King Collective, an armored van that serves as a mobile dispensary in San Jose, California, and possess several tools to aid them in their fight for legalization. Washington's first medical marijuana dispensary prepares to open next month from the Washington Post. Security cameras have been installed, scales calibrated, and signs declaring no returns hung on the walls at Capital City Care. There's just one thing missing before Washington, D.C.'s first medical marijuana dispensary can open its doors: the marijuana itself. The medical marijuana is currently being grown in a separate building in Northeast Washington. District rules require that the plants be in the ground for at least 60 days before they are harvested, and each cultivation facility is limited to 95 plants at any given time. By mid-April, Capital City Care plans to begin selling 4 strains of medical marijuana from its 2,000-square-foot perch on North Capitol Street. 5 more licensed dispensaries are slated to open shortly thereafter. And that's your 420 Radio News for Monday, March 25th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines with a look at various states trying to pass hemp legalization bills, from Vermont to Hawaii and everywhere in between. You're listening to 420radio.org. This is the Russ Belville Show. We'll be right back after this.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go.
I have to say that there was one question that was voted on that ranked fairly high, and that was whether legalizing marijuana would improve the economy and job creation. I don't know what this says about the online audience, but the answer is no. I don't think that is a good strategy to grow our economy. So.
Nearly 1 million lives wrecked by a marijuana arrest every year, Mr. President. Politely tell President Obama what you think about legalization by calling the White House at 202-456-1111.
Welcome back, everyone. 13 after the hour. Time for us to go behind the headlines. We're going to take a look at various hemp bills all across this great land of ours that are making quite a bit of progress. This is going to be a year where we see a lot of hemp legalization. Now, we've already seen it in the 2012 election with Colorado. In the passage of Amendment 64, absolutely legalized hemp. However, the state still needs to put together some regulations for it. And this article out of the Denver Post talks about a bill sponsored by State Senator Gail Schwartz that would kick off hemp growing in Colorado on kind of a modest scale. It would enable farmers to register for 10-acre research and development plots to test the viability of different hemp varieties. So more of an experimental thing, not, full-scale industrial cultivation, big farms with combines like we need to see, but the very first baby steps of let's test, put out a couple 10-acre plots, test out some different varieties. Now, the problem, of course, still remains the federal government, which the DEA still declares all hemp growing illegal. It's a weird thing. It's not so much illegal as you can't do it without a DEA permit, and the DEA won't give you a permit. So it's kind of actually federally legal. It's just not allowed. A weird situation, the laws there. So with this Colorado bill, the Colorado Department of Ag would establish rules for registration and crop testing Interesting notes here in the Denver Post on the statistics. Hemp has been legal in Canada since 1998. And currently, according to, this was Andrea Herman, who's a Manitoba hemp scientist, I also think she's doing work with National Cannabis Coalition, said that the Canadian crop recently has generated average profits of $255 an acre. Now, if you're not into farming, you don't have any frame of reference, here's some comparisons. Currently, corn is averaging $208 an acre, canola, for canola oil and such, $201 an acre, and wheat gets you $100 an acre. So Canadian farmers are doing quite well growing some hemp because, of course, we here in America have to buy it from them. We can't cultivate our own. According to Herman as well, in 2012, a record of 52,000 acres of hemp were grown in Canada. Projections for this year, 75,000, increased by half. Canada is taking off with their hemp production, and our farmers here in America are sitting by, watching their farms disappear, getting turned over to big agriculture. And here's a crop that would grow so much better in America than it would in Canada. Another article from the Daily Chronic, a couple from the Daily Chronic today. This one on Vermont's hemp bill. Just got a favorable report from the Finance Committee, Senate Finance Committee, scheduled for a second reading tomorrow in the Senate. This is Senate Bill 157. Would remove language from existing law. Understand, Vermont is one of 10 states that already have legal hemp. We have it here in Oregon. We're another one of them that already have legal hemp on the books. Problem is, in the law, it says as soon as the DEA gives you a permit, then you can have your legal hemp, right? So, it's not, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the effect. This bill, Senate Bill 157, would remove language from the existing law which states that Vermont farmers can grow hemp, quote, when federal regulations permit, end quote. So this is to actually implement the legalization that Vermonters have already had for years. There's a companion bill in the House, House Bill 490. It's also advancing in Vermont. This would give authority over the Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets, would control the hemp industry. Farmers would have to be licensed by the state to grow hemp. Another interesting point in this article, over 30 countries produce industrial hemp, including Australia, Austria, Canada, Chile, China, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, France, Germany, Great Britain, Hungary, India, Italy, Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, Turkey, and the Ukraine. And guess what? In all those countries, cannabis is illegal. Yeah, they, for some reason, can allow hemp to be grown and still punish people for using cannabis. Now, I know the Netherlands, it's tolerated. Portugal, 10 days supply is still legal, but they can still bust people that are growing and bust people that are in, larger supply, right? And by the way, the world's leader in hemp production is China. We've got the Hawaii Senate. The bill passed its second reading in the Hawaii Senate. This House Bill 154 would allow the director of the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources at the University of Hawaii at Manoa to establish a 2-year industrial hemp remediation and biofuel crop pilot program. Now, what that is, phytoremediation, hemp actually sucks toxins out of the soil. You got like a nuclear Fukushima kind of thing or a Chernobyl kind of thing. You got a chemical spill. You got some sort of contamination of the ground. You plant hemp there, it sucks those toxins out. That's what they're going to study, as well as the biofuel aspects. And in West Virginia's vice chair of the Agriculture Committee introduced House Bill 3011, which would also remove that part of West Virginia's hemp law that says we have to wait for the federal acknowledgement. We have to wait for the federal permission. Because again, West Virginia, another state that already has legal hemp, but hasn't been able to implement it because of the DEA. And Missouri, Jason Holzman, a Democrat of Kansas City, has sponsored SB 358 in the Missouri Senate, which would also reclassify hemp, allow people in Missouri, the farmers there, to grow industrial hemp. And finally, for our hemp update behind the headlines, in Kentucky, we've been covering the agriculture commissioner there, James Comer, who has been pushing for a Kentucky hemp legalization bill that has been supported by the aforementioned Senator Rand Paul and Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican minority leader. This should come up for some sort of compromise vote tomorrow. They're working out some of the details, but it still looks like it's going to go forward in Kentucky. This is the year for hemp. And this is the time for a break. Hey, Kaliko.
Aloha. What's up?
It's been a while.
Yeah, we should probably take a break and get Irie.
She's my cherry pie. Be right back.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
You know, I've been playing rock and roll for a lot of years, and I've done it all. Now I do it without drugs. Hey, don't get me wrong, I still party with the best of them, but now I do it clean. You know, I'm on top of everything I do.
Fun, 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 fun,
Oh yeah, this is Big Daddy, and I want you to join me every Thursday night at the Funky Roller Rink, baby.
Engine number 9. Can you get me back on time? Move on down the track. Keep that steam coming out the stack. Huh. Keep on moving. Keep on moving.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Roots Monday, featuring the blues, country, folk, and jazz music that birthed the modern sounds we enjoy today. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
Oh, I'm so glad to have my friend in the studio, LLWK. Ladies love Wiz Khalifa.
Oh, that's absolutely right. I'm pretty sure that's
how you doing, my man?
Doing quite well, man. I'm very happy to be back here. It's been a couple months. Basically took a break from marijuana after the election. Went back to Taco Bell, rolled a lot of burritos. Got tired of that really quickly. And then decided I guess I was going to hit the road with the green, luckily. So I was on the road for a couple weeks, and so it's great to finally be back home, taking a little breather, and I'm actually planning on moving out to Hawaii next month, as late as probably April 30th. So
well, we'll get into all of that after our break here. We're going to come back and talk to Wiz Khalifa, get some tales from the road. I hope there were no mud sharks involved.
Not that I was aware.
No mud sharks? Okay,
no.
Good. No mud shark stories. But, so we'll get some tales from the road from Wiz Khalifa. But before we do, I said, I'm going to give up Roots Monday for the day because Wiz Khalifa's here, and he's into that new... We got to have is there a word for the new generation
I call
reggae?
It contemporary reggae.
Contemporary reggae?
I mean, just because I know that, you have the roots reggae and you have all of the things that, today's reggae has evolved from. But I think that what I listen to, a lot of the stuff coming off the islands is just a collection of R&B and hip-hop and rock, all of the different sorts of influences, of different genres of music all rolled into really the island vibe that people grow up around. You know what I mean? So I think today I just call it contemporary reggae.
Right on. Yeah, because we play a lot of the roots reggae on Wednesdays with Brian's show.
For sure.
And
getting into the legends and the classics.
Hell yeah, Red Eyes Reggae Flashback. And what's cool is he's shown me a breadth of it that I can see now where some of these bands have picked up some of those things.
For
you
sure.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's really, really cool. So we got one on tap here. Why don't you just tell us about it?
Yeah, today is from an artist named Jay Boog of of course, if you ever listen to the Irie Island Hour, back in the day, we always played a little bit of J. Boog. He's originally born and raised in Compton, California, but, you know, he's a Polynesian guy at heart and by blood, so he's been based out of Oahu for a while, and he's put out quite a few albums. He's becoming really big overseas. I was just telling Russ he's going to be in the UK for like a day. He's just going to pop over there, play a show, and then be back in the States. But this song is called Smoking Bomb Bud off of his latest album, just a single release featuring Fiji. And, you know, it's just about what we love to do here. Smoke the high grade. So enjoy this. This is J. Boog with his song called Smoking Bomb Bud.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes I smoke it, I feel overjoyed. Sometimes I smoke it, I feel paranoid. Sometimes I smoke it and not even feel Latino. Sometimes I smoke it and I'm going insane. Hey, you got the ganja, she got the Indo, he got the sensor, sweet Tanzania. It makes me say, we're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud. Sometimes I flash them 3 hours a day. Make sure them lines are clean and not decay. They're hungry, eating night, morning and day. They like they said money can't grow on trees. Hey, he grow the cookie, she got the diesel, them go the head bun, cool shot the best strong. It makes me say, we're growing high grade, we're growing high grade, we're growing high grade. The herb plantation got the fire that releases my pain. Ain't no other medication, so I light up my strength. Blaze it till every different kind I need, yeah. Free up the herb, come, just sing with me. Hey, you got the ganja, she got the Indo, he got the sensor, sweet Tanzania. It makes me say, we're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud.
Give me the weed, come make me smoke it up. Who shorty diesel lost with pack and load. I grace the only way you wanna go. When partaking this virtual herbal smoke. Call in the train wreck. Sweet is my favorite. White with a rating. Smoke till I'm faded. Why I make them look inside.
We're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud, we're smoking bomb bud. Yeah.
Shakespearean Theatre. I'm your host, Leonard Pimth-Garnell III. Tonight we revel in the hilarity of acquiring cannabis when miscommunication occurs between the cannabis delivery service and the consumer. The Royal Shakespearean Cannabis Theatre Company presents the classic David's Not Present piece, made famous by Richard Merrin and Thomas Chong. Enjoy.
Hark! Who goes there?
It is I, David. Pray grant me immediate passage, good sir. I come bearing a package of great import.
Hark! Who goes there?
It is I, David, as I previously informed you. Make haste in unlatching this portal, for I believe the constable hath cast his visit upon me. I bring you the packet you seek.
'Tis David?
Affirmative, my good man, 'tis David. Now open this door forthwith.
David's not present.
Who would you rather your kids talk to about drugs? You? Or some guy? When your kids find out you've been lying to them about marijuana, who will they trust? Let's have a rational discussion about drug reform. Let's tax and regulate marijuana, restrict youth access, and create safer communities.
The cannabis community includes a diverse set of activists and nonprofits working to end the prohibition of marijuana. We take the time to hear the stories of reform on the Russ Belville Show's Cannabis Community Chat.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's 30 after the hour, and this segment's brought to you by our friends at Wood Pipes Smoke Shop and Speakeasy. You can find out more from them through email, woodpipes@yahoo.com. Big supporters of us, big supporters of Brave Michaela. Give them your business. Wood Pipes Smoke Shop and Speakeasy. Now, welcome back to the show, and we've got Wiz Khalico in the house.
Aloha, aloha, aloha.
It's a beautiful day.
It is a gorgeous day here in Portland, man. I mean, after spending so much time in California, I got to tell you, I have to have the sunshine. So.
Yeah, it's gotten 2.7 times more Irie in this room.
Yes, 2.7 because I'm so short, you know. That's not average.
3 times.
Yes.
Could have been 3 times.
But it's 2.7.
Had to knock off 0.3.
There you go. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So you went on the road since you were last here on the Russ Belville Show.
Yeah.
And you're still in the credits, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
We haven't got the new roll up yet.
Good Lord. I think, and the last time I was on, I just popped in with Ganja John for a show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, maybe in January.
Yeah. So since then, you've been Mr. Road Warrior.
I have.
Tell people about your road war experiences.
Well, basically, like I was saying a little bit earlier, I went back to work at Taco Bell, and while I was doing that, I was hating my life and thinking about how could I possibly stop rolling burritos for the rest of my life and do something else. And, I'd been knowing that the Green was going to be coming up on a tour here just a couple weeks ago in March 1st through the 3rd. They're going to be playing 3 shows in Washington, and usually they swing through Portland, but they weren't having a show this time around, so I had been planning for months to go drive up, meet them up in Washington, hang out for the weekend. It was the only thing that made going to work worth it every day. And so I was able to get up there to Spokane on March 1st, met up with the guys actually on February 28th before their show. Hung out in like Kennewick, Washington, on their off day, did some laundry, did some bowling and stuff. And then they played their show in Spokane the next night. They had Tacoma and then Bellingham all those 3 nights. And then we were at the Tacoma show. JP, who's my buddy, he's a guitarist from the Green, was like, why don't you just come with us to LA? Like, they had like another week and a half, 2 weeks left of their tour. It's like, why don't you just come with us? I was like, I guess I don't have anything else going on. I just quit my job at Taco Bell because of what I was trying to do. And for those of you that don't know, what I've been working on is trying to start a legalization campaign basically in Hawaii. We've all heard about the polls doing really well out there, about the legislature working, trying to get some bills through. But, really, Hawaii's at a place right now where they just need organization to get the public support turned into political support so they can actually get something done. So I've been planning on trying to move out there and get a legalization campaign started. I've been talking to a lot of these guys who are involved in the reggae scene out there who are interested in getting involved and helping out the cause. So I'm trying to start a crowdfunding campaign here soon called Legalize High, legalizehi.com.org. Basically to make t-shirts that say Legalize High on them, a new day in Hawaii Nay, and those will go to fund a marijuana campaign where we'll be able to purchase radio, television, and billboard ads. Basically the same idea as what me and my buddy Sam did with Oregonians for Law Reform here for the Measure 80 campaign. So we basically wanted to do that in Hawaii. So I quit my job so that I could focus on that, and then I was able to go up meet the guys up there for the Washington shows, and then they offered for me to go on down to LA. So like I said, I quit my job. I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. Drove back here to Portland from Tacoma, dropped off my car, packed all of the rest of the remaining clean clothes I had into a suitcase, met him up at Bamboo Grove, which is my favorite Hawaiian food spot here in Portland where my sister works.
Hey, big shout out to Bamboo Grove. Advertise with us.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely be talking to them. Bamboo Grove's awesome here in Portland. So we went there, we had a big meal, 12 of us, mowed down there, and then headed off down I-5 to their next show, which was in Humboldt, Arcata, California.
Oh, my.
At a Humboldt Brews, home of Humboldt State. That was an awesome show. It was like an old venue, like owned by old hippies, old deadheads and stuff. So they had really good equipment and stuff. That was a great show. Then we were down in Santa Barbara the next night. Then it was 2 nights in Hermosa Beach, Friday and Saturday night. Both nights were sold out. And then they finished the tour in San Juan Capistrano at this place called Coach House, which is like a pretty legendary place. The walls and the entire venue is lined with pictures of famous people who had gotten their starts there. And one of my favorite pictures is one of Ziggy Marley before he had dreads. So, I mean, if you can think about how long Ziggy Marley's dreads are down to his, like, back of his kneecaps now, it's crazy to think that he was playing there before he ever had dreads.
We looked at that picture. It was pretty shocking.
It was pretty awesome. So the Green managed to sell out that show as well. It was just an amazing, crazy time. Like I've been telling everybody, it was the time of my life. Could not have possibly expected to have had that much fun, considering, like I said, it was only going to be a weekend little journey, and it ended up being like a 2-week excursion. So,
wow.
Yeah, definitely got to cover a lot of ground. Washington, Oregon, California. Got to hang out with my favorite band, you know what I mean? And also found a way to get back to Hawaii a little quicker. So
yeah, that's the next step on this. And before we get to the Hawaii step, I just need to know, from on the scale from lead singer to bus driver, where does Wiz Khalifa fit in the groupie scale?
On the groupie scale,
yeah.
I got to tell you that their bus driver's a good-looking dude. All right?
Oh, okay.
And he also had to double.
He might skew the average.
He also had to double his merch guy this time around, so he got a little more FaceTime.
Okay.
But no, I'm just kidding. All the guys, they all had girlfriends this time around. So really, there were plenty of groupies around.
All for Wiz Khalifa.
It was all for Wiz Khalifa, but all for naught because I took my time. I was just hanging back, enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? Really not trying to insert myself in too many situations. Really
insert.
Okay, maybe bad choice of words. Anyways, I was really not trying to, get in anybody's hair. So it's really just laying back and watching. I mean, it's first tour experience. I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? So we were just enjoying, knowing that there might be another opportunity. There were certainly moments that led me to believe that this will not be the first time.
So Hawaii. That's the next step, and these guys in this group are helping you get there? Is that how this works?
Well, they're just, obviously they have a lot of connections, and they're just willing to help throw their support behind a legalization effort. Obviously they've been really friendly to me every time they've come to town. They know that I'm all about the marijuana legalization. Obviously, reggae as a community lends itself to, marijuana legalization because a lot of their demographics smoke pot. I mean, it's just basic.
This just in,
ideas.
people who like reggae smoke pot.
Yeah.
Back to you,
may smoke pot. May smoke pot. And so, they basically have just said, if you're coming out here, we're definitely willing to get behind whatever it is that you want to do. And, they've definitely offered up help in other ways. I don't want to go out and put anybody, on the spot or anything, but they're definitely got a lot of things lined up. Looks that we can definitely make some big waves over there in Hawaii once I get over there. So I'm looking to possibly get there as late as April 30th. So I'm about a month away from moving, just
now,
putting together the final things.
Pam Lichty out there with Drug Policy Hawaii. They got some new group that's started. I think there was 2 new activism groups that I saw in news that we covered maybe a month or so
ago.
And
I know there's a medical marijuana group out there as well that she works with.
One was medical, one was
Coalition of Hawaii or something like that. There's a couple organizations that do a really good job. Like, they're on the ground working at the legislature, organizing testimonies, getting people to come in there and, really just work with the legislators on the ins and outs of the bills. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So really what I see what needs to happen out there now is just being able to drum up the public support. You have Pam Lichty and all of these awesome activists being able to get the political stuff done. I don't see that being the problem. I see the problem being driving the public support to where you're really holding the politicians' feet to the fire. Because, in Colorado and Oregon and Washington, you have these initiatives, so the voters were able to write a bill that they thought was good and then get enough signatures and then pass it. In Hawaii, you don't have an initiative process. It's all up to the legislators. So really, it's just about, basic political psychology. Make them afraid for their job, right? So it's going there. I see it as really trying to run like a rock the vote style campaign, going there using the tight-knit community of the reggae scene and really being able to just have a voter registration drive where you go to UH, you go to these high schools, you get all the young people registered to vote because their favorite reggae bands are telling them that this is an issue that they need to get involved in. You know what I mean? And we get them registered to vote, and then we start flooding the Capitol switchboards. You know what I mean? We have phone banking days, we have letter writing campaigns, we have rallies, we have all sorts of events, and really just make it a popular and cool, hip, campaign that people really want to get on board with, because I see, Hawaii being such a small place that if we're able to do that, there's no way that after this year, having bills go through the legislature and fail, 2014, I just don't see the legislature being able to pass it up when you have Washington and Colorado having the first legal weed being sold. I mean, weed is legal in those states, but by 2014 session, you're going to have the rules and the regulations adopted in Washington and have the first legal money actually flowing through the states. And I think that's going to put a little extra onus on legislators to start acting, because right now it's one thing to say, the voters want legalization, but it's another thing to see the money rolling in when you're not seeing money roll in. So I think that getting out there in the next month, building things up through the summer, and then leading up to the fall, and really hitting them hard before December when they go back into in session in January, that we could really build up some really good momentum. So
I'm thinking that as marijuana becomes legalized across the United States, one of the things we always say, marijuana is fungible, right? You can't tell one from the other.
Right.
What's going to differentiate marijuana in this increasingly competitive market is quality weed. Well, we know Hawaii grows quality weed. The Pacific Northwest grows quality weed. Humboldt grows quality weed. BC grows quality weed. It's everywhere, really, if you just find the right grower.
Sure.
So what's going to differentiate it then is branding. And I think Hawaii stands poised to just reap the benefits from, just Maui Wowie right off the bat.
Sure.
The
just
bat.
all the tropical blends.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. So I see that as being, the economics of this being really, really big for Hawaii. So you'll be out there by May.
Yep, I'll be out there by May. And then, I got more traveling. I'm hopefully trying to do May 24th, 25th, 26th is the Cali Roots Festival. It's becoming a really big, popular reggae festival down there in California. It's only in its third year, but it's got Slightly Stupid headlining along with a lot of other big artists the Who's Who will be there. So I'll be planning on traveling out to that. I got a friend getting married in Vegas on May 28th, so trying to go out to the Cali Roots Festival, then possibly rent a car or fly to Vegas for my buddy's wedding. And then I'm going to check out a little Carlos Santana out there while I'm out there, since he's doing his little residency at the House of Blues. Going to check that out. And then, just going to be putting in work over there, trying to get the foundation laid so that next year we can really hit it hard out there in Hawaii, because I think it's definitely ready. Legalize High.
LegalizeHigh.com. Is nothing up yet, though.
There's nothing up yet. We've just bought the domains. We've been working on me and my buddy Sam have been working on an Indiegogo campaign, Indiegogo.com, which is basically another platform much like Kickstarter, where you can set up your own campaign, set up a goal, and you can have a tiered incentive system where you give people perks. So, like, if you give $10, you might get a postcard. If you give $20, you might get a T-shirt. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. So we've been putting that together. I had to, take a break on it for about a month and a half because things got a little wild for me.
Sure.
But now that things are calming down and I'm looking to do the move, we're going to be getting back on top of that. Just going to be really trying to get there and then lay the groundwork. So hopefully I'll be back on the show, hopefully soon, talking about our Indiegogo campaign for Legalize High, so that we can help crowdfund our way to a solid legalization campaign effort there in Hawaii and really get all of the media that we need, radio, television, and billboard ads, so we can make it happen.
And even more than that, the possibility of a Hawaiian podcast?
Yeah, so I might be revamping, not really the Irie Island Hour, going to probably just make a Legalize High podcast if I can, really just to promote the campaign out there, to keep people up to date with what's going on, and, to have some friends that are in the reggae community stop in and talk a little bit about legalization. So I've been thinking about that, definitely going to try to piece that together. I mean, I have plenty of equipment, and looks like now I'm going to have plenty of musically inclined friends over there, so we will definitely try to put something together.
You could have a house band.
That would be awesome.
I'm Wiz Kaliko, and this is my house band, the High, or whatever.
We'll see what's up, man. Just might happen. Just might be able to find myself a house band.
I'm so looking forward. I'm so glad for all these great things that are happening for you, Kaliko, because couldn't happen to a better guy. You've been working hard at it, and I've always said that, if you prepare for the stuff and you believe in it, and you put yourself in the places where opportunities can happen, they will, and they
Absolutely.
did.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And obviously, you've given me one of the biggest opportunities of all here, and I appreciate it, and I've tried to run with it as much as I can, and I've certainly continued to do so.
Absolutely. Hey, when we come back, we're going to take time for a radical rant, calling out the Democratic senators in the western states on their marijuana stands.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. 5 of the last 7 major party candidates to run for president, 3 of the last 7 vice presidential candidates, and the last 3 presidents have all smoked pot. Marijuana, the gateway drug to the White House. This is the Russ Belville Show.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
All right, political quiz time. Can you name the tax-hiking, government-expanding, latte-drinking, sushi-eating, Volvo driving, New York Times reading, body-piercing, Hollywood-loving, left-wing freak show friends of Howard Dean, who recently issued the following pro-dope marijuana legalization quotes? Quote, I don't want to promote that, but I also don't want to put people in jail who make a mistake. There are a lot of young people who do this, and then later on in their 20s, they grow up and get married, and they quit doing things like this. I don't want to put them in jail and ruin their lives. Look, the last 2 presidents could conceivably have been put in jail for their drug use. And I really think, look what would have happened. It would have ruined their lives. They got lucky, but a lot of poor kids, particularly in the inner city, don't get lucky. They don't have good attorneys, and they go to jail for these things, and I think it's a big mistake. End quote. That would be Republican Senator Rand Paul. How about this one? Quote, I am proud to introduce legislation with my friend Rand Paul that will allow Kentucky farmers to harness the economic potential that industrial hemp can provide. During these tough economic times, this legislation has the potential to create jobs and provide a boost to Kentucky's economy and to our farmers and their families. End quote. That would be Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. How about this one? Quote, to be clear, I do not consider marijuana use a good thing for society, but I have never used marijuana personally and do not encourage others to indulge. But as the son of a violent alcoholic, I know enough to appreciate that it is irrational to have laws in place that allow the use of alcohol, yet punish adults who choose to use a less harmful and less dangerous substance. Across the board, our current system of marijuana prohibition has failed. It has failed to protect our kids from drug dealers pushing other, far more dangerous drugs. It has failed to keep our borders safe. And it has failed to use taxpayer dollars in the most responsible and efficient manner possible. It is time to try something new. Please join me in voting yes on Colorado's Marijuana Legalization Amendment 64 this November. That would be Republican former Representative Tom Tancredo. And how about this one? Quote, I really believe we should treat marijuana the way we treat beverage alcohol. I've never used marijuana and I don't intend to, but it's just one of those things that I think this war on drugs just hasn't succeeded. If people can go into a liquor store and buy a bottle of alcohol and drink it at home legally, then why do we say that this use of this other substance is somehow criminal? End quote. That would be Republican former presidential candidate Pat Robertson. Hardly the latte-drinking body-piercing set, huh? Now, to be fair, the Democratic Party still has a larger base of support for marijuana reform, at least in the U.S. House. Representative Jared Polis of Colorado, Representative Earl Blumenauer of Oregon, and Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee are solid supporters of marijuana rights in the U.S. House. But while the Senate Minority Leader McConnell is on Fox News supporting hemp, and recent filibuster star Senator Rand Paul is on Fox News calling for ending marijuana prohibition, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid is silent on the issue. Democratic senators are notorious for opposing marijuana rights even when the voters of their own states are in majority disagreement with them. Sure, Senators Wyden and Merkley from Oregon are standing with Senators McConnell and Paul on the hemp issue, but when marijuana legalization was on the Oregon ballot, Wyden and Merkley wouldn't comment on the measure, though Wyden has issued anti-legalization stands in the past. When marijuana legalization was on the Washington ballot, Senator Maria Cantwell opposed it, saying, quote, I don't believe marijuana should be legalized for recreational purposes. Senator Patty Murray, another Democrat, opposed Initiative 502 as well, echoing her 2009 statement to a constituent, quote, I do not support legalizing or decriminalizing currently illegal drugs, including marijuana, end quote. When marijuana legalization was on the Colorado ballot, Senator Michael Bennet, another Democrat, supported the No on 64 campaign with his, quote, A constitutional amendment to make this type of change leaves cause for concern. Looking at this as a parent, it goes too far. End quote. Senator Mark Udall, another Democrat, made no comments about the Amendment 64 campaign that I could find, but he has in the past co-sponsored the States' Rights to Medical Marijuana Act. When California was voting on Prop 19 in 2010, Senator Barbara Boxer, Democrat, was against it, and Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, was chairing the committee to oppose it. I've been warning Democrats that Republicans would steal this issue and its younger supporters since the drug war was invisible at Barack Obama's 2008 Democratic National Convention in Denver, which I attended and blogged for. I was credentialed there. Since that convention, 4 Western states have voted on marijuana legalization, and their 8 Democratic senators have either opposed it or not supported it. Now, I'm not the only one who's now recognizing that a GOP with an aging and soon-to-be white minority could gain much-needed younger voters by openly supporting marijuana rights. Nate Cohn, writing for the uber-conservative New Republic, agrees. Quote, young voters might be pro-Obama, but they're even more pro-marijuana. While 60% of 18 to 29-year-olds supported the president's reelection, the CBS News and Quinnipiac polls, as well as the Washington, Colorado exit polls, show an impressive 65 to 70% of voters under age 30 supporting marijuana legalization. Fortunately for Republicans, they actually have a rare opportunity here to seize the middle ground and appeal to younger voters. CBS News found that 65% of Republicans support allowing state governments to determine the legality of marijuana, compared to just 29% who believe the federal government should decide. Marijuana's ascent as a national issue will force Republicans to choose between breaking with the conservative base or undermining their efforts to rejuvenate support from young voters, who so far have only shown interest in libertarian-leaning Republicans like Ron Paul. If Republicans don't seize the middle ground on marijuana legalization, Democrats will eventually use the issue to their advantage. Not only will Democratic primary voters demand it, they will have a lot to gain. As more younger pro-marijuana voters enter the electorate and replace their elders, support for marijuana legalization will continue to increase, absent intervening events that reshape public opinion, like a disastrous ending to the experiments in Colorado or Washington. If marijuana becomes another partisan social issue, like gay marriage or abortion, it will make it even more difficult for Republicans to appeal to millennial voters. And again, that's Nate Cohn in the New Republic. States' rights, limited government, cut wasteful spending, personal responsibility, individual freedom. There's 5 bumper sticker Republican philosophies you could put on an end federal marijuana prohibition flyer at a GOP convention in 2016. Meanwhile, as Senate Democrats out west are ambivalent to or outright opposing marijuana legalization in their states, on the East Coast, Democratic Senator Warren from the liberal bastion of Massachusetts is openly mocking her potential Republican opponent's support of marijuana legalization. She said this recently, quote, I advise everyone to pay very close attention to Dan Winslow's platform. He has a 100% ranking from the gun lobby, and he's for the legalization of marijuana. He wants us armed and stoned, end quote. So what was it that Massachusetts Republican State Representative Dan Winslow stood for that deserved Senator Warren's derision? This is his platform, or this is his quote. I disfavor decriminalization of marijuana because it increases demand from illicit sources. Instead, I think we need to legalize marijuana, likely starting with medicinal marijuana in view of the current federal prohibition, and then regulate it and tax it. Only by lawful production of marijuana will the cartels, crooks, and drug dealers be put out of business in the U.S. Senate Democrats had better heed the demographic and voting realities of the marijuana legalization issue, or the Republicans, desperate for younger and minority voters, will turn this into a social wedge issue in their favor. So far in the Senate, the only good news we really have is Senator Patrick Leahy on this issue, who's on the Judiciary Committee, who's put some good stuff forward and good quotes forward on ending this drug war, and has always been strong on it. Merkley and Wyden in Oregon have stood for this industrial hemp, but are so far mum on what's going on with legalization, when even in their own state, Oregon state representatives right now are talking about a legalization bill, passing it through the legislature to take advantage of the economic opportunities and the job opportunities and the farming opportunities that marijuana would provide. We need to be careful here. By we, I mean Democrats, need to be careful here. If they are reticent on this issue, the GOP will steal it. Pat Robertson has already given them cover with the Christian conservatives. Libertarians and business-minded Republicans are ready to make some money from marijuana. Even seniors are beginning to see the medicinal and recreational benefits of cannabis. After all, marijuana legalization got 50,000 more votes in Colorado than President Obama did. And as Cohn at the New Republic wrote, quote, young voters might be pro-Obama, but they're even pro-marijuana. While 60% of 18 to 29-year-olds supported the president's reelection, the CBS News and Quinnipiac polls, as well as the Washington and Colorado exit polls, show an impressive 65 to 70% of voters under age 30 supporting marijuana legalization. Time to get on the right side of history, Democrats, and stand for this issue. Nancy Pelosi in the House has also been good on this issue, standing for some of these rights. And again, we mentioned Cohen and the other representatives in the House, Polis, Representative Blumenauer, these other representatives that are doing a good job for this in the U.S. House. But so far, leadership in the Senate has been silent. And in this vacuum, Rand Paul is stepping up and starting to issue some fairly reasonable statements on marijuana reform. It's time for the Democrats to get behind this issue and for both houses of the Congress to do something about the issue of marijuana at the federal level. There's an argument to be made from it from the conservative standpoint of states' rights, allowing the states to make these decisions, which even conservatives have come to support. There's arguments on the Democratic side of the aisle for ending this as well. The NAACP has now been getting along with some of the California and Colorado and Pacific Northwest delegations of their state NAACPs to support marijuana legalization. They see it as a civil rights issue. This would be so easy for Democrats to jump on as a civil rights issue, an equal justice issue, a fairness issue. It's ripe for the picking. It's the low-hanging fruit of electoral politics right now. And as Washington and Colorado continue to implement their laws, there's going to be less and less public opposition to candidates coming up with reasonable stands on the issue. If you're on the left, if you're into Democratic politics, I would encourage you to get involved at the primary level and have these primary challengers come up and force the issue of marijuana legalization. You can work within your party to make these changes. If you're with Green Party, if you're on the left but unaffiliated with the major political party, this has always been an issue that you've supported, and you can continue to raise the issue. If you're on the right, you can make this an issue that can be brought up at the conservative level. Tea Party Republicans should be behind this. Libertarians are already quite behind this. It's ripe for the picking, and the first party to get behind it in the right way will claim the moral high ground. The other party will begin to look like bandwagoneers. They'll lose the status of being associated with the party for legalization. Just as we've seen a one-decade turnaround in institutional politics with respect to the gay marriage issue, where just 10 years ago it was all the rage to use it as a wedge to force voters into the Republican column, and now it's being seen as a wedge that forces people to vote Democratic. We're now seeing majority support for gay marriage. The marijuana issue will be just like this. As the money starts to be made, as the people start making that money in Washington and Colorado, there's going to be more and more call at the state level for this to happen. President Obama, Democratic leader Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi on the Democratic in the House, use this momentum, make this change during the Obama administration, and Democrats can claim some of the mantle of being on the right side of history. Ignore this warning. The 2014 and 2016 elections might not turn out how you'd like. Hey, that's all the time we got here for Hour 1. We're going to go into Hour 2. Toker Talk Radio. We'll take your calls at 971-533-7111. Appreciate all of you for being here, and especially Wiz Calico for showing up. Thank you so much, my man.
Mahalo's for having me, my man. Always glad to be back. We'll have to do it again soon.
Just like old times.
At least once before I move out of here.
I agree. Good luck in Hawaii. For Wiz Khalifa and Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you